Good morning, everybody. Dr. Campanella, that I want to remind everybody is also a member of an important board of the International Hydrographic Organization and the International Association of Geodesy. It's called ABLOS, on the law of the sea. So if we focus on Mediterranean, the numbers are impressive. We have heard a lot again on the Straits, but let me remind that Gibraltar has a traffic of 300 ships per day and almost 110,000 ships annually. The Suez Canal, that wasn't mentioned a lot, but it's an important choke point of the Mediterranean, sees every year the 12% of the world's total trade and 30% of global container traffic, as well as the Strait of Messina is a vital route for regional trade, but unfortunately the crossroads of the major human trafficking via the sea in the world. So the need of safety and security is paramount, as 90% of traded goods are shipped by sea. Keeping these waterways flowing is crucial. Then the International Hydrographic Organization, with more than 100 years of history, comes into play. In fact, hydrography, which is the basis of what we do, is the basis for the purpose of safety of navigation and in support of all other marine activities, including economic development, security and defense, scientific research, and environmental protection. With the reference to the two straits, a lot has been said so far, but let me underline that if we look at the Strait of Gibraltar, it has a particular bottom topography, including various silts, strong currents, as it was said and well depicted before, characterized by a complex oceanic current structure. Whilst the Strait of Messina has special and sometimes also unpredictable tidal effects. In fact, the currents are primarily driven by the interaction of tides with the complex bathymetry and topography of the strait. I remember many times when I crossed the Strait of Messina with different sized military ships, and anytime it was real a challenge, because the currents could reach even a various number of knots. And the prevention of accident has become the priority for the world of shipping. I'd like to draw the attention to the accident that is depicted in the center of the slide, where the 400 long ship Ever Given wedged across the Suez Canal for 6 days in March 2021, provoking a loss of $9 billion per day, so that the included economic consequences of similar accidents in a strait can be devastating for the economy at the regional and global level. And also for some species, as was said by Dr. Campanella before, in some areas, ship strikes may reach levels that threaten their conservation status. We don't have specific percentage and assessment on the level of the population affected. But also in this case, in this specific case, a good knowledge, an accurate knowledge of the seafloor and what hydrography can support can help to reduce the environmental impact of the ships, also on marine species such as mammals. But now let's move to another important aspect, the new era of hydrography, or better, the way to represent the marine environment. Because we have assisted in the late 90s to the first huge transformation on how to represent the marine environment, moving from paper documents, the famous paper charts that everybody knows, to the first digital representation of the marine environment, using a two-dimensional way to represent the marine environment. Now we are assisting to the second huge transformation, moving with a new universal standard produced by the International Hydrographic Organization called S100 that will affect, of course, also the security and the safety in the strait. This new standard will allow a four-dimensional representation of the marine environment, where the three spatial variables are joined by the time variable linked to the many marine features. And this standard, the S100, has been internationally recognized, included in the International Maritime Organization resolutions, as said before, as mentioned before. From the 1st January 2026, so tomorrow, a first set of products and services will be operational for use on board of the system that allowed the representation of the digital charts called ECDIS. And it is expected the full and complete implementation by 2030. And let me say that the basic elements which embraces through an holistic approach all the variables affecting the sea and the marine ecosystems function a bit like Lego blocks. They are put together for the purpose of e-navigation mainly, where simple operations, comprehensible displays, and reliable recommendation for informed decision-making will be available to the mariners. It is interesting to have a look at this, at one of the products, which is the one related to the bathymetry. And can you send the video? Okay, it's working. This is one of the products within the S100 standard, and it is related to bathymetric surface in a particular complex area. This is a fjord, and the ship that you're looking at is the largest crane ship in the world. You can see from the double representation, the real one below on the right side, taken by a drone, and the reconstructed using the S102 product. This is not an easy navigation, as the spaces and dimensions involved are impressive in terms of channel width, channel depth, and single drought. So, but it is the combined and simultaneous use of the S100 products and services that can provide a complete and dynamic picture of the marine environment, as in the case of combining the different products such as the bathymetric surfaces that we have seen before, with water level adjustment, the tides from S104 product, and the surface currents that are affecting a lot the straits. And the use of multiple layers of information in real time provides full understanding of the marine environment. And it's not the very last aspect that I have just highlighted here, but there is another one, the economic and ecological benefits of using a new way to represent the marine environment. Here there is an example taken in a strait. It's not in the Mediterranean, it is in South Korea, but just finding the right time for the currents, that the passage through the strait from the scenario 1 to the scenario 2 can have an important impact in terms of less consume of fuel and less pollution by 15%. So that's an important application close to the environment. And also we have heard about marine protected areas. One of the other products is dedicated to monitor the enlargement of these marine protected areas that were mentioned very carefully in the last agreement on biodiversity beyond national jurisdictions approved by the General Assembly of the United Nations, and of which the Principality of Monaco is one of the very few states so far to have ratified this important agreement. And finally, let me conclude to say that the hydrographic knowledge, as we have seen through the use of digitalization, standardization is crucial for safety of navigation, reduce marine accidents, and protecting the marine environment. As because this digitization of hydrographic products has a significant potential in the Straits and in the Mediterranean Sea. As the Mediterranean continues to be a pivotal region for global trade, security, and environmental progress. And in particular, the Mediterranean Straits continue to play a critical role in global maritime traffic and enhancement of maritime safety. So thank you very much for your attention.
So, first of all, I would like to thank all the speakers because we managed to stay in time. Just even we have a few minutes possibly for some question and answers. Then, as you know, we might need to close immediately at a certain time because we are waiting the most important person in those days. But before opening the discussion, I would like to just make a short comment. This, for me, was very enriching. 2 hours, in 2 hours we traveled our straits from all the point of view, historical, legal, physical, environmental, and safety and security. So I would like just to call here Laura, because that was her idea, as far as I can tell, when she called and told me, Mario, I would like to make this a few months ago. Laura, this for me is a very nice, great panel. Please come and comment something.
Thank you, Mario. It was unexpected, so I will improvise something. First of all, I was myself surprised, having had the idea of collecting a few of the long list of things that one can say about the Straits. Still, I was surprised by so many information, and so much information. I didn't really expect our experts to be so capable of resuming each his own sector, and thank you very much. I learned a lot. It was really quite of an important experience for me. Thank you. Some of those were a little bit skeptic, how we can talk about so many different things. I think it is a success because the idea I had was really to feel how much Straits are complex and important for us. I was born and I was living for most of my life near the Straits of Messina. Nancy, my friend and the coordinator with me of this event at the local level, we know how much we want to preserve the Straits. It is a wonderful place. So now I would like each of you, or my colleagues, to express vision, views, whatever this discussion could inspire, looking forward. So how can we use Straits better, the energy? Is there anybody of you who knows about current initiatives that are already starting to use Straits and currents as a source of energy? Do you know anything about geomorphology acting as a major or minor structuring for the Straits? What about science, connectivity? Is there any information on migratory species passing by and having troubles? So I would like to give the floor to you to continue to enrich this moment and as a tribute to Straits.
So the floor is open for any question, please. Yes, please tell your affiliation and then question or comment, as Laura said, contributions.
Yes, Francesco Chiocci, University of Rome, marine geologist. I think that Straits not only connect seas and people, but also science, because Straits are such a specific hotspot of biology, oceanography, and geology as well, that maybe it is worth to have some specific effort in looking at the interaction between the different disciplines. And I think that really it is the ideal place in which to have multidisciplinary and possibly also transdisciplinary, as we said today, projects maybe powered by CIESM on exchanging ideas about how geomorphology controls the benthic habitat, how the oceanography controls geomorphology, etc.
So I think this was a contribution and a comment rather than a question. Yes, maybe there is time for another one here because I see some movement there. Please. Okay.
Hello. A straight question to Professor Lafuente about Andrea Zito. I'm from Swan Hellenic. As a background, I'm not a scientist, but I am an engineer. So, interesting the studies of the current. What is the status, today's status of the possibility of producing energy with the status? I mean, with the current.
Well, okay. Yes. Well, that's quite a technical question because I think there is a threshold above which the currents are profitable to produce energy. This is around 0.7, 1 meter per second on average. And so you can find this currents in the Strait of Gibraltar, just in the bottom layer, near the bottom. So this is a good place to think about installing some kind of energy farms. The question there is the depth. So we are speaking about 300 meters depth. But I think there are a technical solution for that. And probably the other strait, for sure, is Messina Strait. Messina is, in my opinion, is a bit more complicated because its currents are reversing, and this implies that some kinds of marine turbines must face always the current, and they are subject to strong mechanical stresses. So maybe it's better to have unidirectional currents, such as the case in the Strait of Gibraltar, in the western part of the strait. So the probabilities are open. It's a question of the investor if they decide to invest money in that kind of thing. So.
Thank you very much. Maybe some work for engineers. Now the next question. Susan first, and then
my name is Susan Khalifa. I am professor of marine geology and oceanography. Yes, from Egypt. And just thank you so much. All talks is so interesting, really. I just ask Jesus, Professor Dr. Jesus, to say that you present very important information, but you didn't include some recommendation to help our Mediterranean problem. You said we have, you know hydrology, we have problem for inflow the water inside the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean basin now has become so close because the rate of inflow of the Atlantic water is low. And the Atlantic layer, the surface Atlantic layer, go not in the strait. So what's your recommendation about that? Because always in this issue, I attended many conferences. I am already a scientist, oceanographer. They said that Suez Canal is the evil for destroys the ecology. No. Suez Canal is a part of our world. So we want to help to fix this problem. We want to help to increase the inflow and the current in the Mediterranean. How your overview of that as a hydrology view? Thank you.
So I'm afraid I have not understood completely the question. You mean the transformation of the Atlantic water into Mediterranean water? Or some, so well, if the model I have explained here is a quite simple model because it supposes that all the Mediterranean is overmixed. So this is just a conversion, a modeling of anti-estuarine circulation, and the variations of the Atlantic or the Mediterranean water properties are quietly dependent on the buoyancy fluxes, which are related to the climate change. I don't know if your question is in this direction. So the buoyancy fluxes are now making the Mediterranean water warmer and saltier. So this is regarding density, both things act in the opposite direction. So fluxes are not changing too much. So hydrological properties are changing, but fluxes are not changing so quickly. So it's not.
Well, I think I'm not sure that about the question and the answer, but I take the responsibility because I cut the presentation of Jesus. I asked him to reduce. He has a recommendation, I'm sure, so I know that you can then elaborate on this during the break or before this evening, this afternoon. I just would like to give the floor to the last question.
Thank you very much. Simone Panigada, I am the co-chair of C5 and the chair of the scientific committee of ACOBAMS. I was very pleased to hear so much about ship strikes and the mitigation effort that can be done. And this is just a comment. The IMO established a year ago in June 2023 a particularly sensitive sea area. And this is the first time that this area, covering a very large portion of the Mediterranean, suggested by France, Italy, Spain, and Monaco, was focusing on mitigating the risk of ship strikes. That was the purpose to establish this area, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure you will share my hope, that more areas like this will be established throughout the world in order to mitigate what is considered to be the most dangerous human cause of death to marine mammals. So thank you very much.
Thank you to you for this contribution. Just let me give a short comment about that. I was used to be in the benches of IMO and for representing Italy. What you mentioned is very important, and in my opinion, this is one of the areas where cooperation between the industrial world and CIESM would be very beneficial. We are entering a situation where technology would allow a lot more than what is done today in terms of helping ships not to damage sensitive areas and so forth. But we need the advice of scientists to properly use the technology and, for instance, avoiding disturbing whales in the particularly sensitive areas of Ligurian Sea and so forth. Now, I am just looking there. Apparently, is not yet the moment for us to leave, even if I think is already 12. So, yes, is already 12. So, I would say if there is one more question, I will take it. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you very much for your talks. I think it's quite interesting to put these social scientific and natural scientific perspectives all together. So my question is quite direct, but I guess the answer perhaps is not. So are you aware of the studies of Mediterranean Straits along the 20th history of oceanography, of Mediterranean oceanography, having an impact on studies elsewhere in other straits of the world ocean, be it ecological, geological, or physical studies? Thank you so much.
I am a poor engineer, I don't have a clue, maybe.
So I will try not to respond because it's a very complicated question, but to say that I think this is a great initiative that can be mutuated to also other straits. because I don't have recognition of other similar initiative like this. I think that can be a little bit pioneering in this field, considering that Straits are important for all the reasons that we have heard here today, and they are very sensitive places, crossroads, hotspots in the world for the well-being of the humanity.
We go on, yes please, we go on until we are informed that we have to shut down. And then in that moment we shut down, irrespective who is speaking, okay? Please.
Okay, I would like to thank the panel for the relevance of the subject we have been through. I'm just wondering, because I'm not into oceanography, whatever, but just wondering like that, is that any strategy for the configuration of the straits as they are, if we can look at the issue of the sea rising level?
So the question is if any of you has some ideas or what on possible role of straits in mitigating, in slowing down the sea level rising, or if this is a good question. I mean, the answer could also be this is not possible. Jesus, it's your turn always.
I think because Straits is part of the system, they can. If you think of climate change, the Mediterranean is changing faster than the open ocean because it's reduced dimensions, quite likely because the presence of the Strait of Gibraltar, which is controlling these changes. So this means that the climate change problems like sea level rises are different within the Mediterranean or outside. But how much can straits be manipulated to control the sea level change, for instance, or the climate change? I'm sure that the straits are made for that. So who knows? Probably it's a field of research, but by now I see Strait is a victim of the as the oceans of the climate change.
So with that, we are closing, also because we have to leave the space any moment now. So I would like to ask you to thank our speakers. And thank you, and of course also Regia and the colleagues. Thank you.